insane damage, great sustain, fast rotations. If those things sound good to you, you're going to love today's video, where we take a look at Static Discharge Holosmith in PvP. Static Discharge is a high damage bruiser that can do a little bit of everything. Pump damage in teamfights, lock opponents down with CC, rotate quickly, and even 1v1 a bit. It's also very skill deterministic, meaning you can hard outplay people, and overall, it's crazy fun. In the next 10 minutes, we'll cover Holo Basics, stats and weapons, traits and skills, combos and damage, roll and rotation, and some gameplay tips. Before we do that, if you like this build, you should go check out hardstack.gg, where we have dozens of builds for every class and game mode, raid guides, and useful tools for commanders. Alright, Holosmith is the elite specialization for engineer, released with Path of Fire. Taking the Holosmith elite specialization swaps your F5 key with Photon Forge, a powerful new set of weapon abilities focused on AoE melee damage. Using a skill in Holoforge builds up heat, a mechanic unique to the Holosmith. Our heat goes from 0 to 150. The more we heat up, the more buffs we get. Higher levels of heat give us more damage, more healing, and increased effects from our utility and tool belt skills. Be careful though, if you use too many skills you'll overheat, dealing heavy damage to yourself and locking you out of Photon Forge until you've cooled down. For our stats, we're running Berserker Amulet with Divinity Runes for maximum damage and a higher health pool. Static Discharge Holo can run a few different weapons, but the strongest variant takes Sword and Shield with Intelligence Sigil for crit and Energy Sigil for sustain. Sword is your offensive weapon with a decent auto chain and some nice buffs. Radiant Arc is a leap finisher that hits hard and provides you with quickness based on your heat level. Refraction Cutter is a shotgun type ability that shoots out little blades at point blank range. Use the Radiant Arc into Refraction Cutter combo to be at close range for maximum damage. In Shield, Magnetic Shield is a reflect that flips over into a push. Static Shield is one of the best defensives in the game. It's basically a combo of a block and Shocking Aura that flips over into a ranged daze. Next up is our traits and skills. Starting with explosives, we take Short Fuse for Fury uptime, Aim Assisted Rocket because it occasionally procs a giant sky laser, and Big Boomer for a damage buff and some healing. In tools, we run Static Discharge, which shoots a little lightning bolt alongside every tool belt skill you use that bounces between foes and does considerable damage. It also gives this build its name, Static Discharge Holosmith. Lock On provides a free reveal, which is great into Thief, Ranger, and Mesmer, as well as just being annoying to deal with. Last, we have Kinetic Battery, which builds a charge every time you use a tool belt skill. At 5 charges, you get free quickness and super speed. In Holosmith, we run Prismatic Converter for free Condi conversion. Condi conversion is like Condi Cleanse, but even better because it gives you free boons. Crystal Configuration Zephyr gives us free super speed for mobility, and Enhanced Capacity Storage Unit takes our heat maximum from 100 to 150, letting us do more damage and stay in Forge even longer. Now that you understand our traits, let's move on to utility skills. Coolant Blast is your heal skill. It's a short cooldown heal that chills nearby enemies and grants you Frost Aura and Cooling Vapor, which is basically regeneration, based on heat. Its tool belt skill is Cauterize, which is an instant cast cleanse that removes up to 7 conditions and is one of your best pieces of sustain. Photon Wall is a directional block, meaning it only works if you're facing your target. At higher heat, it also reflects projectiles. Photon Wall flips over into Launch Wall, a skill that lets you shoot out up to 3 projectiles based on heat that do decent damage. Try to time this at the end of the block duration for maximum value. Toolkit has an Immob, a block, a high damage whack, and a pull. If you cast Magnet without a target, then select one near the end of the cast, the animation doesn't play, making it much harder to dodge. Combo Magnet and Pry Bar to yoink people into your team and do some big damage. The tool belt skill, Throw Wrench, is like Particle Accelerator but does more damage. Slick Shoes leaves a slime trail behind your character that knocks down anyone who tries to cross it. You can activate Slick Shoes and run around someone in a circle to prevent them from fleeing, or spam it in a team fight for free CC. The tool belt skill, Super Speed, is your only stun break, so make sure to use it wisely. Prime Light Beam is the strongest skill in your kit, which makes sense because it's your elite. Prime Light Beam is an unblockable 1200 range CC that does decent damage and leaves behind a damaging field at higher levels of heat. It also has a short cooldown, so don't be afraid to be aggressive with it, since it can swing a fight. Holosmith has access to great damage. Let's look at how to use it. I'll give you a few example combos here, but remember, this isn't a PvE rotation. These are just general ideas for effective sequencing. 1. Starting from Hollow Forge, we're going to cast Corona Burst and swap back to Sword. Then use Radiant Arc, timing it to hit with the second half of Corona Burst, Refraction Cutter, and Pry Bar with Particle Accelerator. This combo is good for targets with low cooldowns since it does high spike damage, but doesn't include CC. 2. Starting at range, use Prime Light Beam. Then go Radiant Arc, Holographic Shockwave, Corona Burst, and Photon Blitz with Particle Accelerator. This one's great for closing distances. Number 3. This one's advanced. Start in Sword with Radiant Arc and Magnetic Shield into Magnetic Inversion. Then enter Forge and about-face Corona Burst, walk away during the downtime, then turn back with a Photon Blitz, Corona Burst, Particle Accelerator combo. A good team fight combo is Prime Light Beam, Throw Wrench, Corona Burst, Particle Accelerator. While it may not seem all that impactful on the surface, this is great for large fights, and it blasts a lot of damage with the double hit of Throw Wrench. Now, these are just a few ideas to get you started thinking about how to combo your weapons, kits, utilities, and Photon Forge, but the possibilities are endless. The only other thing I'll add here is don't make your combos predictable. If you do the same thing repeatedly, your opponent is going to catch on and it won't work. Holosmith is a bruiser, the most flexible and versatile role on a team. Bruisers basically do a bit of everything, but where Holo shines is in smaller 2v2 and 3v3 matchups, especially ones without support. In these fights, your absurd cleave damage and CC are put to best use. Try to focus on rotating to fights where you can have heavy impact without spending too long in any one place. As a bruiser, you can technically take 1v1s, but it's probably not going to go all that well for you. The idea is to hold a capped node without dying until your actual duelist rotates in to take the fight, not to win it yourself. Try to keep in mind how well you can combo with other classes. The best example of this is a thief or ranger dropping a smoke field, which you can blast for your entire team. Another good use is if you have a catalyst, you can leap through or blast their water fields for extra healing. Today, we talked about Static Discharge Holosmith. We learned the basics of the build, how to do damage, how to stay alive, and how to combo with your team for maximum effect. If this looks fun, load up Ranked and give it a whirl. If you pull off any crazy plays, make sure to post the clip and tag us. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe for more Hardstuck content.